What's going on, everyone? Earthvic32 out here at my buddy's range. Have this Marlin Model 60 here that a friend of mine wanted me to take a look at and try to fix. He said all he knew was that he thought there was a spring somewhere messed up in it. So I brought it down here and loaded a few rounds in it. Put the tube back in. I was going to function test it to figure out what the problem was. Try to narrow it down to which spring needed to be replaced. I loaded like 5 rounds in, racked the bolt, nothing. So I took it apart, and through that little hole right there, I could see a piece of brass. So I was like, okay, well, there's 22 stuck in there. So went and they're back there flying airplanes right now. Well, not flying actively because it's so damn hot out, but borrowed a screwdriver to take it apart because I got the action out with a pair of nail clippers using. You can hear him trying to start it now. But I went and got a screwdriver and popped, this trigger assembly out. I mean, it's more than the trigger assembly. Popped it out, and all of a sudden, the round slides out, and I was like, okay, cool. Well, I'll be dipped. This is what was in it. For those of you who can't see very well or don't know, this is a 22 LR. This is a 22 Magnum. Story time, or demonstration time. This is the cutout to feed rounds into. .22 Magnum does go in, not properly. You gotta push the back in first, and then it does go in. He said he's never shot it. Well, he said he shot it when he was a kid. Guys, if you don't know what you're doing with firearms, please don't shoot them until you know. This, had it actually got in there, could be potentially very dangerous. Not only are 22 Magnums a much higher pressure than a 22 long rifle, they also use a slightly larger bullet. These use a 224 bullet, the same as 223 Winchester, 22 Hornet, well, the newer 22 Hornets, 22 250. 22 LR, I believe, uses a 222 diameter bullet. So while those 2000s are probably not going to make a difference because a lot of barrels do mic larger anyway, it's one, never use ammunition that's not designed for your rifle, gun, whatever you're shooting. So yeah, that's why it wouldn't feed. So I got that out, and well, one of the first things I noticed was this spring right here, the ejector spring, is broken. So he was correct, it does need a spring. Just thinking about it now, maybe they somehow got a 22 Magnum to chamber. I hope to God that they didn't. And the excessive force blowing this bolt back hit the ejector so hard that it bent the spring. I don't know. But it also, this is an old one, so it has the 2-piece feed ramp. So I got it, I can manually rack around by hand, shoot it, and it feeds the first round fine, and then doesn't eject, probably because the spring is weak and it won't kick it out. You have to manually pull it back. But also the rim is getting stuck up in the feed throat. And so I could try to polish the feed throat out a little bit. There's real deep grooves in it. But Numrich does have a conversion kit. Brownell sells it also, but Numrich is like $10, $12 cheaper. That convert these old two-piece designs to a one-piece design. And I told him that that's what I would recommend doing, because right now it also needs a new feed throat, or a lot of work done to it. Going to the upgraded one will probably make it more reliable, and it comes with the new style ejector and a spring, which he needs also. So for the spring is $10, so for an extra $25 you can convert it to be a whole lot more reliable. So I'm going to pitch that idea to him, see what he says. But I thought this would be a good teachable moment, because when he dropped this off to me this morning at work, I was not expecting to find a 22 mag lodged in the feed tube. Definitely not expecting that. I am by no means a gunsmith. I spend a lot of time with one. And I'm going to go in here real quick, and I'm just going to manually load around into the chamber. Well, actually, I'll try to pass one through the mag tube and see if I can get it to demonstrate what it's doing, in case my explanation wasn't very clear. Alright, actual 22 LR bullet. There's one. There's two. And guys, I already have Ear Pro in. I've had it in this entire video. And obviously the gun was safety checked before I started this video, because it was disassembled. So okay, now it won't even feed. Probably because the ejector spring, I think, is what helps it. Okay, it won't even feed. The spring was bent. I tried to straighten it out, and in the process of that, it did break. But I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get one. There we go. Okay, so round in the chamber. So you see that it's jammed because it's not ejecting. So all I do is pop it out. And you can see it destroyed it, because it jams it up against the face of the barrel. Now, when I did have the spring kind of in place, the rim, when it was coming to feed up into the ramp, this rim was catching inside the throat tube or the feed throat, and hanging up. So the tip of the bullet was just inside the chamber. And I put a screwdriver in there. Well, it wasn't ejecting properly either because the spring didn't have enough pressure. But I'd eject the round because I could pull it back and it would actually pop out. Take the screwdriver and nudge the rim forward, and the bolt would slam shut. That also told me that there was a feeding issue, and it's not just this crappy 22 Thunderbolt ammo, because I know that it at least feeds in rifles, because it was trying to feed it. It was actually the rim that was not that was catching, which prompted me to look and find those grooves in there. Just a good teaching moment, and I thought you guys should see it or hear about it. I'm not discouraging anyone to not get into the 2A firearm community. It's a lot of fun, getting out into the range, shooting. Great way to defend yourself, your family, your property. I think it's something that's very important to know. But on the other hand, please don't go out and say, well, hey, I got a 22, and just grab the first thing that says 22. Firearm nomenclature can be very difficult. This is not the same as this. Obviously, this is fired, so it's not the same anyway. But this is a lot bigger. Still says 22. And, just looking at the front, this says 22 Thunderbolt. They're both rimfire. Now, if you look here, it's where you can see long rifle. If you're going to start shooting and you're unsure, ask somebody who knows. Whether it be the person at the gun store or a family friend, whatever it may be, ask somebody who knows so you don't potentially harm yourself. People fire 300 blackout out of 223 rifles a lot because it chambers. It will destroy the firearm, at least, if not injure you. This is something that, these operate at a very high pressure. It needs to be taken seriously. And while the person doing this probably didn't, I'm sure they didn't do it, with malicious intent, it's still a very scary thought. Rant over, I guess. Range is fun. Control line airplanes are fun. Working on a Saturday and Sunday, not fun. Y'all take it easy.